Coronavirus sends Wuhan, China into a panic, and four-time Iditarod champ comes to speak at NMU.
Later, weather with Joseph Sigourney and sports with Caleb Rydell. Hi, I'm Caleb Pedersen.
And I'm Alexis Ham. This is Public Eye News. Four-time Iditarod winner Jeff King will be presenting on Northern's campus next week. Beyond being an Iditarod winner, King also boasts the accomplishment of 24 first-place trophies, with one of those trophies coming from the 1,000-mile Yukon International Sled Race. King is also an author. His book titled Cold Hands, Warm Heart delves deep into his 40 years of mushing experience and the adventures he's been on. The event is being hosted by the Student Activity Fee and Platform Personalities and will be held in Jermich Hall, room 1100 at 7 p.m. Tuesday, January 28th. And local restaurant Jackson's Pit in Negaunee will be featured on the PBS program Under the Radar, which focuses on unique businesses across the state. On Thursday, the show's host Todd Dolan and crew visited the restaurant to discuss the history of the establishment, as well as sample some of the famous menu items. The show will also be stopping at two other locations in the UP, the Lucy Hill Luge Club in Negaunee and the Iverson Snowshoe Company in Munising. The episode will be shown at 6:30 p.m. on March 12th at the Island Resort and Casino in Harris and will air on WNMU TV 13 in September.
2 people are dead after a crash on US 2 in Dickinson County Thursday afternoon. A Chevrolet Equinox heading westbound across the center line, hitting a GMC Sierra head-on. The 2 people in the Equinox died at the scene, and the 2 people in the Sierra were taken to Dickinson County Healthcare System and are expected to survive. Authorities say speed and poor road conditions were factors in the crash. No names have been released yet. Wednesday, 5 people were arrested in Iron Mountain. One of them has been identified as Jeremy Ray, who has been charged with 2 counts of delivery of methamphetamine and habitual offender, which is his 3rd offense. He is currently being held at Dickinson County Correctional Center. Another has been identified as Amber Guth. She is being held at Dickinson County Correctional Center on drug charges. This is Guth's 4th offense.
And last Saturday, local health facility RTI Surgical was closed due to a nitric acid leak. RTI's director, Ron Spiegel, said, quote, "One of the employees noticed something that was abnormal and they quickly informed their supervisor, and then the emergency response plan kicked into action," unquote. Once everyone was evacuated from the building, it was found that the diluted acid solution was leaking from its storage container. The Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy were called immediately to determine if the approximately 40-gallon leak impacted the surrounding groundwater and environment. After it was determined the leak remained on site with no effects to groundwater, multiple clean air quality tests allowed the business to reopen this past Wednesday. And interest in recreational marijuana business in Marquette is reportedly growing. Over the last few months, the city has received multiple calls from people conveying interest. Project leader Sean Hobbins says that people are still able to apply, but that it is a very long process. Hobbs was quoted saying, "We would review the application within 60 days and then grant them a provisional license. Once they have that provisional license, they could include that with their state application. The state then reviews their final application, grants them a license, and once they have that state license, we issue them a city license that runs concurrently," unquote. Now, a joint work session between the Marquette Planning and City Commission next Wednesday, January 29th, will further explain the recommendations on land development code and amendments. And after the break, we'll be back with your national and international news.
Coming up on Austin City Limits.
No, I can't slow down, I can't hold. I know you know, I wish I could. No, there ain't no rest for the wicked. Till we close our eyes for good.
I'm gonna take that scalpel, be the surgeon. Please, I rearrange it. Playing, they know I'm not playing. I'm gonna take that scalpel, be that surgeon, and your piece of rearrange.
Saturday night at 11.
A massive explosion at a Houston industrial company has left 2 people dead. A criminal investigation is underway, although authorities do not believe the explosion Friday morning was intentional. The explosion happened around 4:30 a.m. inside a building at Watson Grinding and Manufacturing, and Houston Police Chief Art Acevedo is asking residents who live nearby to search for any debris and contact police if they find anything that could help the investigation. One person has been taken to the hospital because of the blast, and another is unaccounted for. The deadly coronavirus outbreak that started in Wuhan, China, is spreading faster, raising new concerns around the globe. The State Department is warning Americans not to travel to this part of China. Rami Encino reports from Beijing.
This is how people in Wuhan are responding to the city's lockdown. Turmoil at the supermarkets as shelves go bare, and massive overcrowding in waiting rooms to get screened at the hospital. This woman cries out for a doctor to save her life after finding out she has a fever. Residents are growing more fearful by the day of catching the deadly virus.
It's quiet. Even inside of my apartment, it's never this quiet.
American Scott Alice is an English teacher in Wuhan. The government shut his school down, but he says he's more concerned for people outside Wuhan, including in the U.S.
It's locked down, but it's not locked down tight enough. That's the part that I think I'm most concerned with, is that people are still finding ways out of the city.
Back in the United States, another possible case has popped up in eastern Texas. Health officials expect to find out this weekend if the patient who had traveled to Wuhan is infected.
If there's a confirmed case, contact tracing will begin, and all contacts will be monitored for development of symptoms.
But as the number of patients explodes, the World Health Organization has so far declined to declare the outbreak a global health emergency. Now the race to create a vaccine is on.
Well, the first thing we have to prove is that we can create a vaccine faster than certainly we ever have before.
At Moderna Therapeutics, just outside Boston, President Stephen Hodge and his team of scientists are working with the National Institutes of Health to research the coronavirus. But to distribute a vaccine globally, Hodge says they need federal help.
There are going to be a continuing stream of public health threats, viruses that jump into humans from other species. And the longer we wait to respond, the bigger that threat becomes.
Thousands of protesters gathered in central Baghdad to demand U.S. troops leave the country. Anti-U.S. feelings in Baghdad have been running high after the drone strike ordered by President Donald Trump that killed one of the top Iranian generals, Qasem Soleimani. Iraqis saw this strike as not only an attack on an Iranian general with connection to Iranian-backed militias, but also violation of Iran's sovereignty. After an attack on the U.S. embassy in Baghdad, more U.S. soldiers were deployed into the area to try and protect both American citizens and interests. And the U.S. has rejected Britain's request to extradite the wife of a U.S. official who allegedly killed an English teenager in a hit-and-run last year. CBS's Ian Lee is in London with more on the diplomatic fight.
5 months after British teenager Harry Dunn died in a motorcycle accident, his family is still waiting for justice.
Nothing's going to stop us, nothing's going to make us go away.
But their fight just got more difficult, with U.S. officials now refusing to send their son's alleged killer back to Britain. Anne Sakoulis was allegedly behind the wheel and driving on the wrong side of the road in the English countryside when she crashed into Dunn. She claimed diplomatic immunity and quickly flew back to America. The UK Foreign Secretary called the U.S. decision not to extradite Sakoulis disappointing, tweeting, "We feel this amounts to a denial of justice and that Anne Sakoulis should return to the UK. We are now urgently considering our options." Britain's Prime Minister says Sakoulis was wrong to use diplomatic immunity and has urged President Trump to reconsider his position. The Dunn family says it may have to wait until the U.S. gets a new president.
If it means that we've got to wait until the next administration in 4.5, 5 years' time, then we will.
British courts have charged Sakoulis with dangerous driving causing death. If convicted, the American mother of 3 faces up to 14 years in prison. That's if she returns to the UK. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
Federal agents in Delaware have recovered a copy of a letter penned by Christopher Columbus from more than 500 years ago. The copy had vanished from an Italian library decades ago. The letter is one of a few dozen authentic reprinted copies of Columbus's original letter. Several of these authentic copies had been stolen from libraries across Europe without library officials' knowledge. The letter is valued at around $1.3 million and was found with an unidentified private collector who was ordered to return the letter to Venice, Italy. And after this break, we'll be back with your weather and sports.
On On this edition of Great Lakes Now, fall storms on top of high lake levels are causing flooding and erosion.
It's quite a sight to actually see a house go over.
Sinkholes at the bottom of Lake Huron.
This is an area where there are a lot of sinkholes. We've counted about 10 of them that definitely have a defined depression in the bottom.
And learning how to clean up oil spills in fresh water.
The Great Lakes have some of the largest network of pipelines.
Tune in Sunday afternoon at 3:30.
Welcome back to Public Eye News. I am Joseph Sigourney here with your weather. Taking a look at our sky cam right now, it is snowing and it is coming down. And moving into current conditions, right now it is snowing. Weather advisories are out. You can also get a little bit of a rain. The temperature is 33 degrees and winds are northeast at 4 miles per hour. And the barometric pressure is 30.08 inches and falling. And tonight we can expect snow up to 2 to 4 inches, a low of 32 degrees, and winds northeast at 10 miles per hour. And tomorrow, more snow in the morning and a high of 34 degrees, winds north at 9 miles per hour. And looking around the UP, in Sault Ste. Marie, it is 36, Manistique 34, Escanaba 33, and Menominee 35. And coming here on the western side, in Iron Mountain 34, Ironwood 32, up in Houghton 33, and back here in Marquette 33. And looking ahead to start off our week, and Sunday it'll be a high of 32 degrees and a low of 28 and snowing. Monday a high of 30, low of 24 and cloudy, and Tuesday a high of 30 and a low of 25 and cloudy. And as it's cold and snowing here in Marquette, I heard things are heating up in Miami as the Chiefs get ready to take on the 49ers in the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We got our two teams now, and now we just need to party. Patrick Mahomes is leading the Chiefs to the Super Bowl after winning 2 of their playoff games by at least 10 points. It is Mahomes' second year as being a starter and is no stranger to any scenario that may take place during any game, such as his 4 losing scores, which were 40, 51, 31, and 31. But Mahomes came back to win 3 of those games, and in the third and fourth quarter after being trailed by double. Mahomes said, quote, "I've been blessed to be in a great situation with a lot of great football players and coaches around me," end quote. Kickoff for the Super Bowl 54 2020 Sunday, February 2nd at 6:30 EST. And Coco Graf is just 15 and is becoming the youngest player in the professional era to eliminate the defending women's champion at the Australian Open, beating former number 1 Naomi Osaka and continuing on to round 4. Originally ranked at 67, she is the youngest player to knock off a top player for the first time since 1991, taking a big win against Serena Williams, who said, quote, "I'm way too old to play like this at this stage of my career. Definitely going to be training tomorrow. That's first and foremost to make sure I don't do this again," end quote. And today marks the first day of the 2020 NHL All-Star Weekend. The event kicks off tonight in St. Louis with the All-Star Skills Competition. The competition features the best talent from around the league competing in specialized events, such as the fastest skater, hardest shot, and longest save streak. New to this year is the Elites Women 3-on-3 event. It will feature a team of American All-Stars and Canadian All-Stars competing in a 20-minute 3-on-3 game. The women are being paid, and hopefully that platform will help promote women's hockey to a larger audience. The NHL All-Star Game will take place Saturday, featuring a live performance from punk rockers Green Day, and the winning team will take home a $1 million prize. Well, Kayla, we got some news going on in sports, but I hear you got something interesting for me.
Yes, a couple of elephants were seen roaming the streets of a Russian city after escaping from the circus. The 2 elephants had a fun time playing in the snow before finally being brought back to the circus.
And that's all the time we have for you today at Public Eye News. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you again next week.
The preceding program was produced by WNMU-TV, Northern Michigan University Public Television, in studios located in Elizabeth and Edgar Hardin Hall.